Good morning, everyone. This morning I'd like to share with you a two-part series of a yoga hybrid slash normal generic exercise routine. So it's this part one of the part two video is going to focus on upper body strengthening and mobilizing. So what you're going to need for this workout is 2 blocks and a strap. The blocks are not that important, they're just there to add a bit of a challenge or to modify or make the movement easier. And if you don't have blocks, you could just use a couple of books or something like that, and a yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can just substitute a towel. So we're going to begin this workout by sitting in hero pose and just doing some shoulder rolls with the strap. So find a comfortable distance, your hands at a decent distance apart, that you can comfortably roll the shoulders back over to behind your back. And we're just going to go through that just a few times just to really wake up the shoulders and create a bit of space. And a few more times. So this class is going to be working on mainly shoulders, chest, triceps, a little bit of back, and a bit of core strengthening. And we're just looking to really add a fun, new dynamic way to our yoga practice, where we can use repetition to help strengthen our muscles. So we're going to start in a tabletop position, and we're just going to cat-cow a little bit, just to warm up the spine, extend the warm-up from the shoulders into the upper back, move it into the lower back. I'm just going to flow through cat-cow a few more times. We're going to come into a plank position. So how this workout's going to work is that we've got 3 movement patterns. We're going to go through 2 rounds of each, and there are another set of 3 exercises, so 6 exercises in total. We're going to try to flow through them in a dynamic way, add a bit of a vinyasa component to it so that you can constantly keep moving and just have a little bit of fun with the movement. So let's start in plank. So the variation you can add here is, if you have tight hamstrings like I do, you can put your hands up onto the blocks. And also when doing a slow lower chaturanga, having your hands up on the blocks, sometimes you can drop your chest lower than the shoulders would normally allow you to if the hands were on the floor, which gives it a really nice opening to the chest. So I'm going to go ahead and use my blocks for this one. So we're going to start in a plank with your hands up on the blocks. We're going to look forward, lean forward, slow lower, coming into upward facing dog, and then flipping the back feet and sending it back into downward facing dog. So we're going to flow through that a few more times. Let's go for 5. Really focusing on sending the hips up when we press away from upward dog to downward dog. So start the movement by sending the hips up and then pressing through the hands. Let's go for 2 more. And last one. We're going to hold it here in a downward dog for 5 breaths. So try and find a little bit of stillness. If the heels don't reach the mat like mine do, even with the hands on the blocks, take a bend in the knees, send the hips up. Work on straightening the spine. The heels will get there eventually. And coming back down into plank, drop the knees. Go ahead, just move those blocks over to the side. You won't need them for the next exercise. So meeting in a plank position, we're going to slow lower towards the mat, this time taking the pressure off the wrists and letting the chest sit on the mat. Then lift up the hands, extend the arms forward, into an extended Shalabhasana, and then retract the shoulder blades, squeeze the back together into lifted hands, Cobra, place the hands onto the mat, press up into Vashisthasana, side plank, and then coming back down, moving through that again, slow lower chest to meet the mat, extend the arms, retract the shoulders, squeeze, press, and this time we'll roll over to the left hand side. Come back to plank, slow lower chaturanga, extend the arms, retract them, press, and rotate over to the left. We go for 2 more, and then we'll hold side plank on the right hand side. Last one, and press, holding side plank. So we really want to work on stacking the shoulder over the wrists, pressing out of that hand. You don't really want to dump into that shoulder. You want to press away, kind of creating space here. 2 more breaths. 2. And coming back down. We're going to continue with the next 5 until we can hold the plank on the left hand side. So slow lower, extend the arms, bring them back, press, roll over to the left. That's 1. 4 more, and then we'll hold. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. Holding it here. A nice variation for a side plank. So you can put the foot down over there, or we're just holding it here. Hand on the hip. 2 more breaths. 1, 2. Come back down to plank. We'll take a flow here. So slow lower chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Sending the hips back into downward facing dog. This time walking the feet to the top of the mat. Keeping the knees bent. Go ahead and take a seat. And extend the legs in front of you. So we're going into a reverse crunch to a reverse plank movement. And we're going to start with the fingertips facing forward, palms underneath the shoulders. Really squeeze the shoulder blades together, broaden through the collarbones. We're going to squeeze the knees in towards the chest for a reverse crunch. Extend the legs, placing the heels on the mat, and then sending the hips up, pressing through the glutes. And then back to a reverse crunch. We're going to go for 5 of those. 2, 3, 4, and 5. This time holding a reverse plank. We so often are told that planks are fantastic for strengthening the core, which is true. But how often do we flip it over and work on the posterior chain of our body, which is often neglected? And it's quite surprising how much weaker we are on this side of the body. So 2 more deep breaths here. 1 and 2. Crossing the legs. Rolling over onto the hands and knees into a tabletop position again. And we're just going to flow through those 3 exercises once more, this time a bit more familiar. So we're going to step up the pace a little bit. So in a plank position, you can do it on the blocks. This time I'm going to try without the blocks. Hopefully I'm a little bit more warmed up, so we'll see if it makes it a little bit easier for me or not. But starting in a plank position, we're going to slow lower chaturanga, press into upward facing dog, send the hips back, downward facing dog. 4 more. Find your own pace, comfortable rhythm. 3 more. 2 more. And last one. And let's meet here in downward dog for 5 breaths. So you can pedal out the feet for a little bit for a couple breaths, and then let's find stillness for the last 3. Really sinking that chest towards the mat, pressing through the fingertips. And coming back down. What I find works quite nicely in downward facing dog is, especially if you've got quite tight shoulders, is just to place the hands a little bit wider than you would normally and point the fingertips out a little bit, and that allows the shoulders to kind of sink back naturally and externally rotate, which should give you a little bit more range of motion in your shoulders. And then sometimes I feel that a lot of the weight is being dumped into the palms of my hands, or the heel of my hand, should I say, and it's quite straining on the wrist. So when you sort of claw your fingertips into the mat and really push through the fingertips, it activates the muscles in the wrist and the forearm and kind of helps manage that weight into the wrist. So just give that a go next time you're in downward facing dog, see how it feels. Here we're going to work through our extensions to rolling T's. So starting in a plank position, slow lower towards the mat, lift the arms up, lift the legs, nice extended Shalavasana, retract the shoulders back, pressing into rolling T on the right side. And back through plank, slow lower. I'm going 4 more of those. There we go, 2 more. And last one. And press. I've really found that adding a bit of extra repetition to my normal yoga practice has really helped me work specific muscles that I've wanted to strengthen, and adding a static hold at the end really helps work on that endurance and gives you one final little bit of push in that exercise, just to really maximize the potential of how that exercise can help you strengthen where you want to get to. So starting back here in plank, we've done our 5 and our hold on the right. Let's do 5 more and do a side plank on the left. So slow low, extend the arms, press, roll over to the left. 4 more, let's go. 2 more. Press. And you can try activate the fingertips even in a side plank. It really helps stabilize the wrists. So pressing, clawing through those fingertips. 5 breaths here. Really firing up the obliques here. And coming back down through center, slow lower. Go through a flow, upward facing dog. Press away, downward facing dog. And go ahead and walk those feet up to the top of the mat. Bending the knees, dropping the bum down, and releasing the legs. Finding our way into that reversed plank position again. We're going to go for 5. Reverse crunch, extend the legs, send the hips up. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. And last one. 5. Holding here for 5 breaths. I really find that this is a very underrated exercise, a reverse plank. We're often quite sort of rounded off in the shoulders from sitting all day and looking down, either at a screen or whatever it is you may be looking at. And this reverse plank really helps strengthen the back of the body, as well as help if you press down through the hands and broaden through the collarbones. It's a real good stretch for the chest. And coming back down, crossing the legs, rolling over into a tabletop position, and then just rolling out the wrists, give a break. So we've done 2 rounds of those 3 exercises and we're done with them. Moving over to the next 3. So coming into a tabletop position, we're going to extend the left arm forward and the right leg back. And from there, you're going to crunch knee to elbow, and then extend the foot out again. Just going to go for 5 of those real slow, controlled movements to try and hug towards the midline of your mat. 2 more. Extend. Last one. And holding here. So try and straighten that back leg, activate the back glute, activate the hamstring, extend the arm away. 5 steady breaths here. What I find quite interesting is after doing repetition, the breath becomes quite compromised and restricted. And it's in these static holds at the end of the movement where we really try and expand the lungs through these compromised positions. It really helps to open up and strengthen those specific areas. And dropping the hand back down to tabletop. We're going to go through straight to the other side. So extend the right arm forward, press the left foot back, and let's go. Crunch it in, knee to elbow, and extend. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Holding it here for 5 breaths. And coming back down to tabletop. Let's take a child's pose here, just to release a bit of tension in the lower back that we might have built up through that exercise. So through this child's pose, just walk the hands over to the left, and walk the hands over to the right. I'm just going to take a puppy posture here before our next exercise to try and create a bit more flexibility in the shoulders and warm up the muscles for this next exercise. So stack the hips over the knees, really walk the fingertips out far and as wide as the mat. Drop the forehead towards the mat. Really breathe into the shoulders, into the areas of tightness and tension. 2 more breaths. And then let's meet back in a tabletop position. We'll take a forearm plank here. So our next movement is we're moving from plank through to dolphin. So really working the shoulders here, traps and the core. So from here we're going to press through the forearms, sending the hips up and back into a dolphin, and then coming back to a plank position. So really focus on kind of keeping the core tight here. We don't want to drop back down into a plank and sort of slump the weight into our lower back. We always want to keep our core tight and our spine as neutral as possible. So let's focus on that through this movement. Let's go for 5. So starting here, press it back, come back to plank. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to hold it in dolphin here. So really press through the forearms. See if you can elevate those shoulders. 3, 4, and 5. Dropping back down. So going into our last exercise, we're going to start in a plank position. And from here, we're going to slow lower chaturanga. And as we press up, we're going to lift up the left hand, rotate, swivel on the back toe, send the right foot through into fallen star and extend the left arm over. Okay, so another way to take some pressure off the shoulders here is that if you feel when you go through that press through into fallen star, you're feeling a lot of tension on the shoulder, sometimes we can be really dipping in on the rotator cuff here. So what really helps is to open up, like you're taking 2 jars in front of you and you're really opening up to the side. That's external rotation. So when you start your plank position, just start with slightly pointed out middle fingers or hands in general, and that's really going to help when you press through to not be so restricted in the rotator cuff here. So let's just try that. We're going for 5. I'm going to turn my hands out a little bit here, dropping down, pressing, sending through. We're going to do 5 on the same side here, so pressing through again. 1. Sorry, that was 2. 3. 4. And 5. Holding it here. Sending the hips up. Pressing through the grounding hand. 4 more breaths. 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and take a little break off the hands if you need to. Roll the shoulders if you're feeling a little restricted. Maybe cross the arms. Back and forth. And let's meet again in plank. We're going over to the left hand side. So, starting in a plank, we're going to turn those fingertips outwards. And we're going press to fallen star. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Holding it here for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Coming back down. Alright, so those are the 3 exercises. Let's go through a second round now. Hopefully you're a bit more familiar, so we're just going to flow through it from start to finish. Starting in a tabletop position, lifting up the left arm, extending back the right foot. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Holding here. 3, 4, and 5. Back down. So what I find helps here as well is that same kind of positioning in the lower spine. It's not a complete tuck, but it's kind of just a holding and squeezing in of the core to keep that lower back tight. Even when we're moving through those positions, it really helps when we have to hold a position and we need balance to really squeeze and contract the core, hug everything towards the midline. It really helps for stabilization. So let's try that on the other side. Extend the right arm, so find that tight core, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Holding it here, squeezing, hugging towards the midline. Deep breathing in these compromised positions. 3, 4, and 5. Coming back down. Coming down to an elbow plank. Going through plank to dolphin. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Holding it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, take a break. Roll out the shoulders. And let's go into our last exercise. We're almost done here, so just roll the shoulders. If you're feeling a little bit tight in them. We're going through our last exercise. So let's meet in the plank position. We're going to go to the left side first, so stepping through with the right foot. When we move towards fallen star, I'm going to turn my fingers to face outwards a little bit here too. And going slow, lower chaturanga. Press up, swivel on that back foot. Extend the right leg forward into fallen star. Really send the hips up. I'm going to go for 4 more. So let's just work through it. And 3 more. And last last one. And hold. Holding here, sending the hips up, pressing through that grounded hand. 3 more deep breaths. And coming back down into that tabletop position. So we're going to go through the last 5 on the left hand side. I haven't really been focusing on cueing breath work throughout this video. There's a lot to kind of take in. I think at a later stage we'll get to how breathing through movements is beneficial. But I'll give you a quick demonstration in this exercise, and hopefully you can take it into other areas in which you need your breathing to help you. So starting in the plank, slow low, we would breathe in all the way. Sorry, I was going to go straight into upward dog there, but here we are, slow low, breathing in. And as you press, we're pushing into fallen star, so this is where the exhale would really help you to exert force here. So I'm pressing into fallen star. Let's just go for 4 more of those. 2 more, almost done. 2, and last one, press and exhale. Holding your fallen star. Remember to activate through the fingertips. Take a little bit of pressure off the wrist joint. 2 more deep breaths. And coming back down into a tabletop position. And then just take a little seat in your heels. So that's it. We're done for this video. Part 2 will be posted later today. So what could be a really nice idea is to do the videos back to back as a full body workout, or even just doing upper body on one day, giving yourself a breather, and then tackling the lower body section tomorrow. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, because we are wanting to post as many videos as possible, just for your pure benefits and just to get the general love and spread of yoga out there. So yeah, subscribe, like, and share to your friends, and I hope you have an awesome day. Namaste.